In India, marriage has always been a huge deal, right? A cornerstone of tradition. But something's changing. The younger generation is starting to ask some tough questions. So what's going on? Let's get into why this age-old institution is getting a serious rethink.
And get this, the numbers are pretty shocking. We're talking about 38%. Yeah, recent research shows that a whopping 38% of young people in India just don't want to get married. This isn't just a small trend, you guys. It's a massive shift in how people are thinking.
So what's actually behind all this? What's driving this change? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. We're going to break down the big reasons why so many young Indians are saying maybe not to marriage.
Okay, so let's start with one of the biggest reasons for all this hesitation. A lot of it comes down to what young people are seeing with their own eyes, you know? It's about what's happening in the world right around them. I mean, think about it. So many young Indians are looking around and seeing relationships that are just struggling. They see marriages that aren't working out, and yeah, while the official divorce rate in India is still pretty low, the number of people actually filing for divorce is on the rise. And that tells you something, right? It shows that people, especially women who are financially independent, feel like they have a choice now. And seeing that, well, it definitely plants a seed of doubt.
And really, this is the fear that hits home. It goes from being something you see out there to a very personal, nagging question. What if that happens to me? When you see unhappiness all around, it's only natural to hesitate before taking a risk that could affect your entire future.
And then there's the whole fear of infidelity. When you hear stories about people being cheated on, it doesn't just make you lose trust in a potential partner. It kind of makes you lose trust in the whole idea of marriage. It just feels like a huge gamble that a lot of people aren't willing to make anymore. But look, it's not just about being afraid of what could go wrong. There's also a massive internal shift going on. It's about how people see themselves and their own lives. Let's talk about the rise of the individual and how personal goals are now taking the front seat.
Okay, this table really breaks it down perfectly. On one side, in the individual priority column, you've got things like building your career, chasing your own goals, being financially independent. Then, look at the other side, marital demand. You see stuff like relocating for a partner, sacrificing for the family. It's like they're in direct opposition, you know? A total clash.
And here's the key thing. This isn't about people refusing to compromise. It's about asking who is always expected to do the compromising. Let's be real. Women today are just as educated and ambitious as men. So that old school idea where the woman automatically puts her career on the back burner, that just doesn't fly anymore. It's kind of like a group project at school, right? You wouldn't be cool with one person doing all the work. People want a partnership to be fair.
And all of this really boils down to a my life, my rules kind of mindset. It's about putting your own fulfillment first, your hobbies, your happiness, your dreams, your financial stability. That's the priority. So when people think about marriage, the big question becomes, is this going to help me on my journey, or is it just going to get in the way?
Okay, so when you have this new focus on the individual, you're bound to run into some friction with, old school societal pressure. And that clash can be pretty intense. Let's get into it.
Oh man, this pressure pipeline is so real. I think anyone watching can probably relate. It starts with step 1, the relatives constantly asking, so when are you getting married? Then you move on to step 2, your parents dropping hints about wanting grandchildren, and it's all underlined by this unspoken cultural timeline that says you should be married by a certain age. It's a ton of pressure. So, does all this mean marriage is, over? Well, not exactly. What it really means is that the whole idea of happily ever after is being completely redefined. People are creating a new vision of what a partnership can be.
And for the people who do decide to get married, the rules of the game have totally changed. It's not about following some script that society wrote for you. Nope. The new goal is a modern partnership, one that's built on a solid foundation of actual trust, love, and respect. It's about two equals choosing to build a life together, not just falling into an obligation.
And that really brings us to the final verdict here. The message is loud and clear. Marriage is a choice. It's not a requirement. It's not some mandatory box you have to check off to be considered a successful adult. Happiness is personal, and marriage is just one possible path you can take to find it.
All right, that was a lot to cover. Let's do a really quick recap of the main points.
Okay, quick summary. First, a huge number, 38% of young people, are rethinking marriage. A big reason is seeing unhappy relationships, which makes them afraid of the same thing happening to them. Second, Personal goals, like career and independence, are the new top priority, and that often clashes with the sacrifices marriage traditionally requires. Third, there's a major disconnect between this new mindset and old-school society and pressure. And finally, if marriage is the choice, it has to be a real partnership based on love and respect, not just ticking a box for society.
So, this all leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. Is marriage a destination that everyone is supposed to reach? Or is it more like a specific path that only some people should choose to walk down?
So what's your take on all this? Does this sound familiar to you? We really want to hear what you think. Drop your experience and your thoughts in the comments below.
Hey, if you found this explainer interesting, do us a favor and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends and classmates who might be talking about this exact same stuff. Thanks so much for watching.